Alright, so today I want to talk about the future of the One Punch Man manga. Now, I don't necessarily want to talk about like every single thing that is going to happen for the rest of this Monster Association arc because I've already made multiple videos on that, which I'll link at the end of this one. I mainly want to talk about like what's going to happen in the next couple chapters because it's both known and unknown. Known because we know what plot points and beats the story is going to touch on because it already has been established by the webcomic, but the unknown is how the manga is going to play this out because it has changed multiple things, and I want to talk about that in this video. So, after this point, I have to go into webcomic spoilers, so if you don't want to know what's going to happen, I suggest you check out now. So we're currently on chapter 126 of the manga, and I assume that in chapter 127, we're finally going to see Garo take on Darkshine, and I'll talk about that, of course. And then after that, we're going to get the big moment with Tatsumaki pulling the Monster Association base out of the ground. And at this point, I suppose we could be entering what could be considered like the third or the fourth act of this arc, which is another reason why I want to make this video, because the manga is probably going to play out this entire sequence and thereafter much differently than how it is in the webcomic. And like I said, all of the plot points are established, but things are already different. So let's start with Garo versus Darkshine, because that's honestly the only thing that has yet to happen right now that has already happened. Basically, Darkshine is going to have like the first round of this fight, if you will, and then Garo's going to come back and he's going to show that he can do the Cross-Fang Dragon Slayer fist by himself, something that was just introduced back in chapter 124. Yeah, at the end of chapter 124, we see Bang Bomb use it on Rover. It's implied to be like the strongest technique that those two styles in combination are capable of producing. So Garo doing that is pretty significant. And then towards the end of his fight with Darkshine, it's going to reveal that Garo's limiter is about to break, or it seems to be breaking, and this is going to be the second instance of the limiter being mentioned, and I'm really curious to see how the manga plays this sequence out, and I'm curious if we're going to get more explanation as to exactly what's going on with Garo, because it's kind of just left on that point in the webcomic and it doesn't really go any further. So I really hope that the manga expands upon what's going on with the limiter in general, but I just assume that the manga is going to give Darkshine more to do in this fight, because honestly he only really lands the tackle on Garo. That's like the most significant thing that he does, and then after that it's just a complete one-sided beatdown from Garo. So I assume that we're probably going to see more from Darkshine, something to hype him up a little more, because after this point it's kind of just downhill for him. So at least let's build up his character a little more before his stock just completely plummets. And then after this we come to the big moment with Tatsumaki pulling the Monster Association out of the ground. Now this is obviously going to look incredible in the manga. We know Murata is really going to go in on this, like, for sure, double page spread. And this is going to be a device to bring all of the characters together, because as we've seen, everyone was kind of just scattered and they were in their own individual locations within the Monster Association having their own battles. But now we're going to have all the cadres and basically the S-Class heroes together, because they're going to be buried under rubble for like a few chapters, like the main S-Class heroes who took the biggest L's to the cadres, like Zombie Man, Atomic Samurai, My Mask, Child Emperor, the Disciples, Pig God. They're going to be under the rubble for a little bit, and this is also going to give Puri Puri Prisoner more of a purpose in this arc as well, because it was established in the chapter when he fought Neon that he's developed like the ability to like swim through rubble, kind of like Senor Pink from One Piece, except he's just like brute forcing through it. That wasn't established in the webcomic. It was kind of just like he could do it, but now we have an explanation as to how he's going to be able to do that, and he's going to swim through the rubble created by Tatsumaki, flipping the base, and then he's going to save like Atomic Samurai, Child Emperor, and then Pig God's going to come up on his own accord, but then it's revealed that he like swallowed the Disciples and he's going to spit them up once he gets to the surface. So that takes care of those storylines. Then we come to Saitama and Flashy Flash. They're going to be stuck under the rubble as well for a very long time, actually. We're not going to see them in action until the very end of this arc, basically. And as for the explanation as to why Flashy and Saitama have been getting so much screen time together and having this little like pseudo filler arc, it's mainly just to build their relationship, honestly, and I guess to bridge the time between we're going into this big third act or fourth act, right before Tatsumaki pulls the base and Garo fights Darkshine, because Saitama and Flashy Flash are going to meet again after this arc. in the ninja arc, I guess you could call it. King is going to wind up meeting Terrio before the base is pulled out of the ground, and then he's going to, I guess, use his luck abilities to not get destroyed by the rubble, and him and Terrio are just magically going to be on the surface untouched. So that's where he goes, because obviously he's going to have the big moment where he encounters the executives later on. And then that brings us to Tatsumaki. So once she's on the surface, the executives are going to all start bombarding her, and she's going to fight them all at once. And then it's at this point that Psychos is going to like show up randomly behind her and catch her off guard and like psychically bind her. And it's also going to be revealed that Tatsumaki and just seemingly all Esper's weakness is that when they're focusing on offense or like attacking, their defense becomes like weakened. So that's how she's able to overcome her in that instance. Now, this brings me to another possibility of what could be going on at this point. So there's like, I don't know, like a 10 or 20% chance, maybe more like 10%, that Orochi is going to come back to life at this point. Like, once Tatsumaki pulls the base out of the ground, maybe she pulls Orochi with her, and Orochi, I don't know, has like some kind of regeneration ability, or he undergoes like a Zenkai boost or something and then comes back more powerful than ever, and Tatsumaki has to fight Orochi, and then she gets weakened by the battle with him, but she winds up taking him out. And he's also going to fight like whoever else is on the surface at that time too. And then that's when Psychos gets the upper hand on her. This is just something that was established by Murata. Now, it's possible that this storyline was just scrapped and thrown away, and it was replaced for Saitama to take out Orochi, because all of this stuff was undecided at that point. Also, this brings me to Genos. So at this point in the webcomic, Genos was supposed to be with Bang Bomb and Fubuki, and he was going to come to the surface with them, and they were going to like encounter the executives fighting Tatsumaki. Now, I think that this is where Genos is going to be reintroduced into the battle and everything, because the last time we saw him, he was running back to go back into the Monster Association to like recuperate with everybody and help them take on the Cadres. Like, we saw him reviewing the data that Drive Knight gave him. But I think that he's going to reunite with everyone after the base has been pulled out of the ground. Obviously, he's going to see it happen. He might even get caught in the wake of it. But I assume that he's going to show up when the Cadres are fighting Tatsumaki, because that kind of lines back up with how that went in the webcomic. Because like when he resurfaces, it's like the narrator comes in and he's like, when Genos came to the surface, he saw a sky full of light spheres. So I assume that that's going to line up with that. And then when I was talking about Orochi, that could lead to what Genos is going to do in this arc, because Genos doesn't have the Daedric form in the webcomic. He doesn't have like the 10-second full power mode that was alluded to back in chapter 93, and there has to be some use for that, because in the webcomic he kind of just defends Tatsumaki from Black S and then just wounds up getting teamed up on by Gums and Black S and just gets his arms torn off, and then like fights Fear Ugly and gets whooped by him, and then like Bang comes to save him, and then he just gets destroyed by Black S, and he doesn't really ever do anything of substance. So either he's going to run into Orochi possibly and then use like his 10-second full power blast to possibly kill Orochi maybe. I think that would do some justice for Genos. Or he just uses his 10-second mode and fights all of the Cadres at once. Or most of the Cadres, like saving Tatsumaki from them, but doesn't kill them, of course, but like maybe damages them all in a really impressive fashion. And then after he's done with his 10-second mode, then he falls down and he goes like close to death, because Dr. Kuseno says like if he uses that mode, then he's probably gonna die. And that also lines up with what happens in the webcomic, because after Black S like eviscerates Genos, there's this line where he says, "Death, I can hear death's footsteps." So that might lead that into happening in the manga as well. And I assume that that's how everything is going to play out. Like I said, small chance that Orochi comes back. I hope that he does, because, you know, that would be awesome, but I wouldn't get my hopes up on it. Now, for the other lingering storylines that don't happen in the webcomic, that's Drive Knight and Hellfire and Gale. So I think Drive Knight is probably gone for the rest of this arc. If he does come back, he'll probably just observe things. Like, he'll just watch the Cadres fight the S-Class heroes, and then maybe he'll stick around to see, like, Awakened Garo fight Saitama possibly, just so he can gather more data on them, and then he'll run away. I really don't expect him to come back and help them fight at all. I mean, there's a chance that he just never comes back at all, but I wouldn't expect Drive Knight to get his hands dirty for the rest of this arc, because he's going to be a major player later on in the story. Hellfire and Gale, We haven't really seen them since chapter 100. They were kind of like leaving the Monster Association, and considering how fast they are, I assume that they're probably gone by now. I mean, there was a chance that they got lost because we saw Flashy Flash got lost, so maybe they share that kind of inability to navigate the way that he does, and maybe they get pulled out of the Monster Association base from Tatsumaki, and then that's when they leave, because we know that they're going to survive this arc because they are going to show up later on in the ninja arc as well. So they're going to make it out of this. I don't expect them to help fight or anything. But that's pretty much it for the video. Once the story reaches up to the point that I just talked about in this video, basically like right before Garo resurfaces, then I'll make like another update video on this and how I see things going. But let me know what you think about this one. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple chapters? Talking like maybe the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 chapters, somewhere around that timeline. But let me know. And if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.